What's up, buddy? So today we're taking a look at Revolt and which settings looks the best for this game in DuckStation. And yeah, we are starting here with the default settings. So the internal resolution is 1x or native resolution. Dithering is turned off or is set to true color. And the scaling here is bilinear smooth. And yeah, I guess this is somewhat faithful to how it looks on original hardware. Maybe it doesn't look amazing, but I think it still looks alright here. But we can do a little bit better than this, I'm pretty sure. So, first of all, let's just increase the internal resolution to this recording's resolution, which is 4K. There we go. And yeah, that makes things a lot more crispier. We do definitely have some of the geometry kind of bubbling around here. Yeah, it's quite noticeable and stuff like that becomes a lot more noticeable when we increase the internal resolution. But DuckStation does support geometry correction here, so yeah, let's turn that on. That should help a lot when it comes to the 3D objects kind of bubbling around. And yeah, this looks a lot nicer here with this. And well, just increasing the internal resolution works pretty well for this game. I'm not always the biggest fan of that. It can be some things can be kind of a bit noticeable, or 3D objects that are not very good, and also textures that are not or a lot worse than others, so it becomes a lot more noticeable here. But no, this has fairly consistent graphics. I think it looks alright here with just going with a good internal resolution. So yeah, this is a very good option. But let's have a look at some other things. Would also be to turn on dithering here. I guess we could try this first. So let's have that on scale there. And well, it's not a gigantic difference for this game, but I would say it still works fairly well for this one. Yeah, you do get a little bit more textures here on the, or detail on the textures and stuff like that. So I think it works for the most part for the better here to go with this. Let's turn it off here just as a comparison. There we go. So yeah, it's definitely a bit cleaner here when we have it set to true color with when it's turned off. But I would say I would prefer it to be turned on here, so that's what I'm gonna go with here. There we go. Alright, well, next up, let's try downsampling here. So I'm gonna turn that on there. And what this does here is that the internal resolution is still 4K, but that is then downsampled back to native resolution. So it could be a pretty good alternative to the default settings here. So you do get the native resolution, but it's a little bit smoother in terms of movement for this. So yeah, I think it looks alright. We could also have a look at, let's see, we change the scaling here from bilinear smooth to nearest neighbor if we want it to be a little bit more pixelated here for this mode. And well, it also looks pretty good here with this. I think I would prefer the bilinear smooth here for this one, which I usually do, at least for 3D games here. So yeah, let's go back to bilinear smooth. There we go. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. If you want it to be a little bit blurry but still have pretty good detail in the 3D objects here, we do have our last little settings here. So let's try that. I'm gonna turn on off downsampling. There we go. And I'm gonna change the internal resolution to 2x. So we have a bit of upscaling, but not all that much. And I'm gonna go to advanced and then turn on multi-sampling here. And this is the one I found to work the best here, so there we go. And yeah, here we have fairly nice detail for all the 3D objects, but we still have a little bit of blurriness, so things blend in pretty nice here. So yeah, I would say just going with the good internal resolution, like 4K like I did before, works very well for this game, but I think this would be my preferred settings here for this game. And yeah, it looks pretty nice here. Other things to also try here would be the frame rate. This game is not exactly amazing as it is by default here with the frame rate. It can quite often go to below 20 FPS. Sometimes it's not constantly that, but it's under than 30 FPS, and it's not too unusual that it goes quite a lot below that. But we do have in DuckStation, if we go, well, I guess you don't see that here, but on the side here we have different things. We are looking at graphics here at the moment, but if you go to console, we do have these options here, and we can enable clock speed control, which would be overclocking for the emulated PlayStation 1 CPU here. So yeah, if we enable that one, we do have a little thing we can go with here. By default this is 100%, and if we don't change it, nothing is gonna happen, but we can go all the way up to 1000% here. And what this does is that it overclocks the emulated CPU here, and we get quite a lot better frame rate, like way better. So yeah, there can still be some issues with going with this option, but well, what I have seen so far has worked just fine. Whoops, guess we didn't get all the way up there. But yeah, this helps a lot here to get a good frame rate here for this game, and that could definitely be worth it. So yeah, that's a good option. And last thing today to also have a look at, if we go back to graphics, would be widescreen. So yeah, let's have a look at widescreen rendering next here. Alright, well, here we go. This is 16:9 here, and well, this game works actually very well here for widescreen. Oops, let's see if we can actually get through this. There we go. And yeah, have been very little that we kind of see how things kind of builds up in the edges of the screen there. It's not going to be perfect here, but for the most part, yeah, it works very well actually. We could even go with even further widescreen here. So this is 16:9, and here is ultra wide 20:9. There we go. The recording here is still 16:9, so we do get these little edges here. But as we can see here, it still looks very nice. So yeah, it's actually very good here. And I guess we could have a look at see to have these little objects that we can pick up, and yeah, those are still visible there on the edges of the screen. That can sometimes be they kind of disappear there. We have a little bit of some objects there, but like I said, it's not gonna be perfect, but no, it still works very well here actually. And yeah, I guess this will be it for this video. Let's go back to 16:9. But yeah, like I said, this is gonna be it for this video. You all stay awesome, and I see you in the next one. Bye bye.